Hey everyone, welcome back to SEO Talk episode 137. And today's topic, as you all know, you can kind of checked in already when you join the spaces. But we are all aware that ranking is not equal to visibility in 2026 and beyond. Even if the brand that you're working for sits at number one on Google and can be completely invisible the moment someone asks ChatGPT or any of the LLM tools. And we all have figured out that somewhere or the other way, if we check authorities now the deciding signal, because it's not just your website as a brand asset, it's how is your brand being perceived on these third party surfaces, whether it's YouTube, Reddit, or any other niche community. So no keyword density, no backlink count, but whether the model actually recognizes your brand as a trusted source worth citing or not. So let's kind of deep dive into how to build an authority led AI search strategy. And we have Gagan with us, and Isha also joined us. So let's get started, and we'll unfold a lot of tips and tricks along the way.
All right, fantastic. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to episode 137 on SEO Talk Spaces. You started off nicely, Parth, and I just wanted to continue from there because ranking number one or ranking in the first page on Google no longer kind of guarantees you show up on AI answers. When this is happening, how do you define authority? What exactly is it measuring, which probably it was not measuring, say, about 2 years ago? Let's start with that.
Yep, that's a great question to kickstart our conversation tonight. Um, I'll start with an example. So let's take, if a brand is ranking for best project management tool, but it still rarely gets mentioned when someone asks ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini the same thing, because the ranking measures page relevance while the citation measures recognized authority. So these are two completely different tests. It's not only about if you have the right keywords, if you have the right semantic scores, if you have the right internal linking, if you have the right backlinks pointing to your page. None of that matters when you want to be recommended on an AI surface. So the measurement has shifted from how well you rank a page to whether a machine trusts you enough to name you in an answer. So the definition as is kind of shifted. But we have Gagan with us. Gagan, what are your thoughts?
I think the challenge right now is that your authority don't matter. Rather, what people are saying about you, that's what matters more now. So on your domain level, you can build great authority by having like a large number of web mentions about your brand, or a large number of like high quality backlinks. But for example, like Grok, if anyone is searching Grok, then Grok is pulling from X posts. If people are not talking on X about your brand, you are invisible in Grok, almost invisible there. So that's the one challenge. And similar is true for like ChatGPT, or if you are doing internal search on Instagram or Facebook, where sometimes AI generated answer via Meta AI shows up. That's also like pulling in from Instagram posts, Reels, and Facebook posts, or the Reels that people have posted over there. So now authority is becoming more of like, you can have your authority on your own assets like your domain, or you're posting a lot of content on Instagram, Facebook from your own handles. But for some type of the queries, if the LLMs are just doing or trying to pull information from third party handles, it can be third party domains, or it can be third party Instagram handles, or X handles, or Reddit handles, then you will have to consider your overall marketing as if that you will have to pursue other people to talk about your brand in some way. Earlier it used to be the case that you do your marketing, you're selling your product, and that's fine. At the least, at the minimum, you are collecting reviews either in through Google or maybe through your own product pages. That was enough. But now it's like somehow you will have to persuade other people to talk about your brand everywhere on socials. So that's a second element of authority which is coming up now.
A good one. So let me go back again and say, can I start today? Right? If I want to build a authority on AI, can I do it without already being well known, if I can put it?
It's a difficult battle nowadays, because these models have bias towards the data that they are trained on. So most of these models, they run web search whenever they are trying to answer any prompt, but deciding like which fan out queries a model is going to do, that's coming from native knowledge of the model. So if you're running a query on ChatGPT, what's deciding what fan out should be there? It's not the web search. Fan outs are not getting decided by what's out there on the web. Fan outs are getting decided by what model already know, or what the model is trained on. So if you're not in the training data or anything like that, in the fan out queries, your specific brand name is not going to end up there. So nowadays, like if you search any financial related information, sometimes in the fan out queries, ChatGPT add brand names like Bankrate or Forbes. ChatGPT exclusively is trying to search these domains to find out like financial information, even when these brands are not mentioned in the prompt. So if you want to build authority, then you will have to wait for the next training run to happen, which means that you will have to publish a lot of content on your own website and hope that OpenAI and XAI and all the Anthropic and all the other AI companies include your website in the training run. So that's going to be a luck factor, but still you can try. If you're a startup who is just starting up, then producing more content in general, like text content, YouTube videos, Instagram reels, or whatever content you can produce, is the best way to build the authority. But if you're saying that I am a startup who is launching on like 19 July and I want authority in next 6 months, it's going to be really, really difficult unless you pour in like millions of dollars, like Profound did, into marketing to gain that level of momentum. Otherwise, you will have to wait at least 1 year for models to at least start to recognize your exact value proposition, like, and what your marketing and what your positioning is in the overall marketplace, and how do you stand against like your competitors.
No, fantastic. And I will probably latch on to the first part of your answer. See, a lot of those models do a web search because probably you are a new brand and it wants to understand more about you. In that case, does the old model, which was all about, say, creating content, creating backlinks, uh, drive your domain rating, if I can put it, will that become important and help or enable you to get cited much better?
uh that of course is like the basic thing that you can try to do. But instead of like focusing too heavy on your domain, you can also try to do more of like YouTube content if your goal is to get more citation in Google's ecosystem, because Google is pulling a lot of information from YouTube. So that's one thing. And if in case you are interested or your target market is on X, like all these tech and tech people from Silicon Valley and New York, they are on X, and if you want to target them, then it's better to create like X posts so that you end up in Grok answers more often. I think it just depends upon like where your target market is and what goal you want to achieve. But overall, whatever you are doing, I think you can bring it back to your website. For example, like if you are doing YouTube videos, let's say you are recording 20 minutes videos and you're posting one video every day, you can generate the transcript of that and post that on your website. It's not going to like necessarily help you with SEO or bring in clicks from Google search, but it's going to help you in the next training run when all these companies are like trying to scrape the web. So this is something that you can try, but you will have to go more granular in marketing nowadays. Like for example, like I mentioned Profound earlier. Profound is not trying to do SEO or AI SEO for their own brand. They say that they are doing some efforts or whatever, but their main marketing strategy is just events. They are sponsoring even their competitors events. Like recently they sponsored one event from Moz. And when Hrefs organized this conference in New York, they had these like small trucks going around New York streets saying that don't use Hrefs, use Profound instead. So you would have to focus on what audience you want to target, and then do the marketing against that, whatever channel works out. But always be creative around like whatever channel is your main channel, bring it back on your website in some way. If your Instagram is your main channel and you're selling a lot through Instagram, then try to think of ways of creating pages on your website which have like Instagram reels. Either you do the standard transcript, or maybe you turn those Instagram reels into some sort of like blog posts or something like that. Bring every channel back to your domain, I think, and don't think of it as like SEO activity where you're creating pages to rank. Rather, just think of it as like you're creating an asset and you're trying to present your social marketing on your own domain.
No, fantastic one. I don't know, Parth, you want to add something, or again,
No,
Isha?
that's a good one, and I remember I witnessed those profound trucks roaming around the Ahrefs event venue during during the early registration times and the lunch time and when there was after party. So that was a very creative approach, and I will want to kind of. Double down on the point that you mentioned that if someone is searching on a particular category, finance, and there'll be particular brands. I think so. Our common friend on Twitter, X, David, he shared, not David, I think so, Edward or David, either of them, they shared something around ChatGPT's fan out queries showed when you search a query which is kind of UGC in nature, it keeps on adding Reddit along with the query. So Gagan, you know better about it because you three of you discussed on a podcast something like that. Can you share more about it? I think so. The community would love to know.
Yeah. So what we came to conclude is that it it might be possible that during the training run, model learn that there is a lot of useful content available on Reddit, and from model's internal knowledge, it is trying to build fan outs. As I mentioned earlier, that if you enter a prompt and the fan outs, let's say one prompt is going to 6 fan outs, it's not that there is no web search happening there. Model's internal knowledge is turning that prompt into the fan outs. So if from the model's internal knowledge and during the training run, model has learned that Reddit is a great source, then in the fan out it is appending Reddit. And it's not only appending Reddit, sometimes it's appending Forbes, sometimes it's appending Bankrate, and sometimes it's appending Compare the Market, which is a big like comparison marketplace in Australia and UK. So it might be possible that models have learned that certain behaviors about the certain domains, and whenever they are trying to build fan outs, they think that for this particular query or this particular fan out, we should exclusively seek information from Reddit rather than seeking information from like general web index. So this is also something that brands need to focus on, where, and for brand it clearly means that you need to have like strong presence in on Reddit. because if ChatGPT is exclusively trying to search Reddit when a general prompt is being done by a user, then it's nothing burger. Like you would have to be present on Reddit to get surfaced for those fan outs.
Yes, and I pinned that tweet on top of our X Spaces dashboard, like just below the title. So if you wish to check it out, do check it out. Thanks, Gagan. Thanks for sharing.
All right. So I'll go back to one of the points Gagan mentioned, and this is say if you want to get featured or get found on Grok, and for that you probably need to write longer articles on X and all the stuff. So is that the same model? Say some of the tech brands or LLM brands like Claude are doing, because I see a lot of those articles right from their own brand coming up these days much more. Is it the same playbook that you are referring to?
In what way? I'm not getting like your question. Like Claude is showing on brand.
I saw, say, from probably Claude or say some similar brand, right?
Hmm.
A lot of articles on X, right? Unlike say their coverage on say platform like LinkedIn and few others is sparing,
Hmm.
but compared to that, the coverage on X is much higher,
Hmm.
including some of their own research staff also putting articles. It's not just Claude themselves, but their research staff also putting articles on X. So is it a playbook that they are following to get themselves
I think
discovered easily?
it's it is of course a playbook because like even Mark from Facebook, like this founder, he also recently tweeted like after like 2-3 years, like he did his tweet announcing that they are launching a model. I think it was a Spark model or something like that. It's just the audience, like on X, it's the most tech nerd autism is present on X. Like if your product or your service is catered to that, then you must be present on these platforms. And in terms of like these systems pulling in information, I don't think they are learning. So one thing that brands confuse is that they look at like for example they look at Claude and they say that, oh, in Australia this particular domain is getting pulled a lot in by Claude, but Claude has not any sort of like notion or has not learned that it should go to that particular domain to seek any certain information. It's not in a real time way. Claude has already like stored that information in its mind that this particular domain is something which is related to these 10 things and I should be searching it more often. And if the nature of things change right now, it's not you are going to update the Claude's memory or Claude's transformers right away. So what like many brands think is that if any a LLM is citing a particular source, let's say LinkedIn articles a lot, they can just start publishing LinkedIn articles and they will show up a lot in that AI search surface. But that might not be the case, because the problem is that these systems have already learned a lot of information. It might be possible that the system will not trust new LinkedIn articles that are getting published, because from the memory it's learned that, oh, these are the set of like authors who have been writing on LinkedIn for 5 years, and I should be trusting these guys only, and all the new guys which are coming in web search, I should not be trusting these guys. So this is like a cat and mouse game where you are trying to understand like what the web source is, the model is considering what are the fan outs, but at the end of the day you cannot influence what model has trained on. Model's biased. If model is biased towards not selecting me as top SEO, then there is pretty much nothing that I can do on the web to make it say that I am a top SEO. uh, unless and until there is a next training run of the model, where I have published a lot of articles where I mentioned as top SEO on Forbes, on other domains, and a lot of articles. But so this is also something that brands need to understand. Like, you can influence these models, but you cannot influence what is already been learned, and that can only be changed during the next training run. So if you are trying to influence some AI search surface and it's not getting influenced, it's not recommending your brand, then you are hitting that wall. And that wall is that the model does not know about your brand and don't have enough trust on you in the training data that it has seen over time. So I see many brands are like desperate to show up in AI mode nowadays, where they're like, our brand, we are trying to do everything. We have done like PR, we have spent like 20K on getting all these 100 articles published in these different high quality publications, but still we are not getting mentioned and cited in AI mode. And I'm like, yeah, that's the problem is not that you're mentioned a lot on web. The problem is that model is not confident about your brand and what your exact value proposition is, and that can only change during the next training done. And as now you have published like so many pages on high quality domains about your brand, now in the next training run you are going to be get included, likely, most likely. So the best strategy for you right now is to wait for the next training run to happen, and in the next version of the model there will be like more trust on your brand name, and then there comes the opportunity to optimize. Because if model already trusts you and then in the web search you are getting mentioned a lot, then model will more likely to cite you compared to when model don't trust you or have not seen like much information from you in the training runs.
Fantastic. And I just wanted to expand on that thought and say authority probably cannot be self declared, but authority is earned, if I can put it.
Mhm.
Now, and that is earned through various means, right? Some of those things that you mentioned, and say the other part of it is like how people can talk about your brand and cite it offline, or rather cite it on other places than the LLMs. When that is happening, how much control does the brand realistically have? Because while on one side it can still go ahead publishing or putting lot of budget on content per se, but if on the other side they are not being talked about even after they do more PRs and all the stuff,
Mhm. Yeah.
is that going to impact uh, say their discovery?
Yeah,
Because
I think the clear cutoff is like, if you have been around before 2023, if your like your domain and your web presence is established before 2023, most likely you are included in training runs of all these models. So there is some confidence on you already. But if you started after 2023, then it's a bit problem in terms of like models trusting you exactly. So if you are before 2023 you were started, then it's pretty easy. Then everything that is returned from the web search that these models are doing, they are going to trust it. So because they have seen you in the training run. But if you are after like 2023, then models have not seen you enough in the training runs. So if web search is returning your name already, name, then there are like 50-50 chances that it's actually going to get surfaced in the overall answer. But if you exist before 2023, then there is like 100% chances that you will get mentioned or cited. But if you are not getting mentioned or cited and you exist before 2023, then there is a huge opportunity for you to do like PR and do content on your website, do content on your YouTube, optimize. The window for optimization to get results is open. But if you are after like 2023, then the window is not fully closed, but it's close to some extent, and you would have to do like case by case assessment to figure out like if all the native models are actually surfacing you or not. You would have to like run tests of the prompts and see the answers, what the models are coming up with. So
Nice.
optimization is still possible, but before you start optimizing, you would have and start like spending money on the optimization, you would have to like understand if the model has some sort of confidence on your brand already. If there is not much confidence, then you would have to expect that the ROI is going to be long term, because you do the things right now, content, PR, and everything else, and when the next training run happens, the next models get rolled out in these AI systems in like 7 to 8 months or maybe 1 year from now, then all that value will get reflected as ROI in the answers. But if you figure out that their model already trusts your brand and you start making changes, then the ROI can be like almost immediate, or maybe almost like 4 to 6 weeks you will be able to like influence AI overviews answers. I think it was around like 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks back, a brand was really struggling to get mentioned in AI overviews, and I told them that they need to publish this page on a particular high quality domain, and it's going they charge 4K for one page. They published that page, and within like 3 hours AI overviews was saying the brand name. So it's that easy.
Wow. And that kind of brings me to the next question in terms of with content creation becoming commodity, what should, or rather, with content creation becoming extreme commodity right now, say, is it impacting reliability? Because I put, say, and taking your own example that, okay, you create one video, put a transcript there. I know for sure that earlier, before 23 or before LLMs, for even for me to do it, transcripts from either a spaces or a video, etc., would at least take me 4 to 5 days just to understand the content, understand the concept, write about it. And today, I can probably do the same thing in say about 5 to 10 minutes or max 15 minutes along with the context. Is there a reliability, or from a content strength or authority, how does someone who's as a consumer rely on a brand because a lot of content is AI generated now? Will it impact?
AI generated content is it's a interesting problem actually, because you can scale content using AI, and sometimes it's works really well, that you're surprised to see like how come this is working so well, especially in Google AI overviews and AI mode and ChatGPT too. But the problem is like is 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 it worth scaling content if you're not getting ROI from it? like uh, like for example, like if you're selling, let's say 100 products, so you are an e-commerce brand, and you manage to create like 100K pages, and each of that 100K page is getting one visitor a day, so you are getting 100K visitors a day from all the AI generated content. Now you would have to see like how many of those them are actually converting. Like the real problem is not that you can scale, or you should scale, or if Google is going to hit that all those scaled AI pages. But the real question is like, is your AI generated content going to convert your customers, convert like people who are visiting your pages to your customers? Like, do people actually buy when they see AI generated content on a page? Because most people nowadays, they are like actually able to like somewhat guess that the content is written by AI. It's becoming like more tricky every month, but still people are able to like identify to some extent that it's AI generated page. So the problem is not like you can scale or you can't scale. The problem is the ROI. Is people who are landing on these scaled AI content pages, are they actually going to turn into your customers? And most likely the answer is no. because I see like many B2B companies, especially in like SaaS, they are scaling pages like crazy. They are using all these tools, many of which are like well funded in SEO space, and they are scaling pages like crazy. And but the real question is those scaled pages actually driving their pipeline, and are they actually closing leads from that or no? And the answer is no. I talked with a company who did like scale this scaling approach. They were also using the well-known tool, which I will not mention, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows it. So so they got hit really really bad. They started scaling around October last year, and they got the hit around March this year. They lost almost 95% of their traffic, even for the pages which were human written. And when I was digging into their sales data and everything else, I realized that not even like 5% of the actual like form submissions were getting channeled through AI generated pages. So most of the pipe, even though they created so many pages which bring in traffic, but still almost 95% of the pipeline was getting created by pages which were human written pages. So the traffic which was coming to AI generated pages was not actually driving pipeline to a large enough scale. But still they took the risk of creating all those pages and eventually end up getting hit, where their human generated pages also lost the ranking, and they ended up losing 95% of the pipeline which was actually getting generated by content on those human written pages. So you would have to see at granular level, like your scaled pages are not likely going to drive like revenue or pipeline unless and until you are doing something really really complex and special, where your AI generated content is not like some random content, but you're using some really really advanced method or really really creative strategy around AI generated content to scale it out.
Oh, Parth, I don't know if you want to add something.
Yeah, I'm totally aligned with what Gagan mentioned. I think so. Most of the cases, it finding a process to generate content through AI feels like jackpot. And to be honest, yeah, yeah, and that goes beyond control. And once you have jackpot in your hand, like you go out and publish dozens and dozens or hundreds of content pieces, and that's not going to work. I think so. Fundamentals and thinking from first principles. Even though a brand is generating content using AI, there's no problem. You know your ICPs well. You have done your Reddit language scraping. You have done your problem pain points scraping from the web, and you know what content piece falls into your overall marketing flywheel. And based on that, you cautiously generate AI generated content batch wise, evaluate every single batch, and at the same time, making sure that you have a lot of data driven proprietary content in your process. Then there's no chance. If your content is flat enough, just text, it doesn't have any media, any internal links, the if you have not plugged in your research into it, if you are not including the right PA questions, right structure of your content, if you have not done your um, proper SERP intent classification, everything. So every single thing that we all know needs to be viewed into a single process. And again, that is not scalable for 100% of your content, for 100% of your content production requirement. Every single batch, every single content marketing effort has an objective, and where does it fit into your marketing flywheel? Based on that, you decide on the inputs that you want to give to that process and the output that you're expecting, and continuously evaluating and improving that particular jackpot, gold mine, golden goose that you have found out, and you keep on still training and improving it. That's the only way out.
Yeah. And also, like some companies are using really creative ways to create content using AI. So I think it was around like 5 weeks back, or 6 weeks. I talked with a company. They are using their internal, like how their engineers are using these models to write code. They are also in B2B space, and what they are doing is they are logging all the activity of, like, because they have like enterprise licenses of like Cursor and everything else, so they can log all the prompts and what the output was for all of their engineers. And they are using like low level models like Gemini Flash to study all those input prompts and the outputs, and then they are extracting insights from that, and based upon that those insights, they are creating like bottom of the funnel pages on their website. So it's almost like they are studying their internal knowledge, and then they are using these flash cheap models to extract insights from that, and then doing like a high level masking so that their internal knowledge, like internal information, don't get published on the website. And then they are creating like these bottom of the funnel pages around their product and services. That is a really good way to use AI to create content, because with that approach they are able to like create almost like 100 pages a month, and all those pages are high quality, like engineering text around like their product and the services, and how they can plug into different APIs, and how different companies can hire them to do certain API level work to improve their internal workflows. So this is something that is like really creative approach to using AI and AI generated content on the website. But most companies are not doing in this way. Most companies are doing it simplest way. Go to ChatGPT, write me a page about this, and there goes the page on the website.
No, absolutely. So, are we in a stage where there is too much content which is building too little credibility?
I like, if we take an example, if there's a race and if everyone has got a Ferrari, uh, no one can just go out and boast that, hey, I'm driving a Ferrari. But at the same time, like, it's everyone is using the same $20, $100 Claude subscription, Chat GPT, and if all of them goes out there and prompts that, hey, write me a content piece on this particular topic, what's going to be the differentiating factor? It doesn't, like. And if we look at pre-COVID era, what was the content production process like? What did the content writers do? uh, they did their own manual research, then SEO team plugged in with keywords, found out different uh, popular questions, which were people also ask questions. And so we had multiple different 5, 7, 8 tools where we did our granular research, viewed everything together, and then kind of shared that research to a writer, and then the writer had their own creativity to kind of come up with a brand voice and the overall tonality that we want to maintain for our brand consistently across the website and other social assets. So this was the process, and all of this took, if a good content piece was to be produced, it took minimum 5 working days, and it could go up to 15 to 20 working days. A good content piece, a good guide that we wanted to publish. Now all of these granular processes now can be automated to an extent. A human can only go out there on the web and scrape as much as, like, but a machine, if you're using uh, Epify, or if you're using Firecrawl, whatever you want to use, you go out there and scrape the best possible resources out there, and then you kind of build a story which is engaging enough for a human to read, and at the same time now um, make the content accessible to machines. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on where the differentiating factor is.
Lovely.
And also just to add one point, like for example, like I also have been using AI to like whatever sales calls I am doing, so I analyze it using AI and abstract out the questions, and I usually post it as like blog posts on my own website. So you can try that too, like whatever sales calls any company is doing, you can abstract out like all the like specifics and maybe company level private information, and then turn those things into like blog posts and publish it on your website.
Oh, that's a wonderful
Y-
suggestion.
Yes, that's such a fantastic uh, tip. And yeah,
I
working
know.
with brand.
I
Yeah,
know.
sorry, go ahead.
I told this to one company, and they are doing it at scale of like 400 sales calls a month, and each sales call is goes from like 30 minutes to 1 hour, and they are creating like so many bottom of the funnel pages on the website. It's scaled. It's actually scaled. It's actually like scaling, but it's scaling meaningful content. It's not just like scaling AI generated content, and that content is ending up in Google Discover too a lot, which is great.
Wow, that's super fantastic, because all of those nitty gritties and all of those pain points discussed on a sales call, discussed within the product team in Jira tickets or even support tickets. So and even the performance marketing team, if they're running a particular campaign, if we get access to that data, if we get access to the payment gateway details. So how are the users subscribing? If we are talking about a SaaS, so what is the trend of weekly, monthly subscriptions, yearly subscriptions, and what is the geography? So as much data you can feed into the system that you have built for a particular client, you'll get more insights, more dots you can go ahead and connect, and then you can come up with more ideas. Um, yeah, that's the beauty of using
Yeah, and also like many companies are using it to study their churn. So whenever a customer churn, they usually do like a form where they can like check some boxes, or in some cases they can fill like feedback why they are leaving the product and canceling the subscription. Studying those at scale can also be helpful to extract information about like FAQs around your products or services, and you can plug that information or address those concerns as FAQs on your main product pages.
Okay, let me take that one little further, and because see, some of us, little old school, if I may say, have been fan of storytelling. So you have a hook, you have a uh, what do you say? You build tension, you delay your answer, you create the story around certain stuff. What you are mentioning is have your answers as early as possible so that the LLMs really do not have to synthesize it or search for it or look for it, or any, for that matter, no one has to really think what could be the answer. What happens to that? Are we too old school, and are we going to become dinosaurs now? And the focus will be just in time answers.
I think so for a lot of top of the funnel queries and prompts. I think so it still makes sense to kind of answer right away. But uh, when we talk about nitty gritties, when we talk about descriptions, when we talk about the differentiating factor between you and your competitors in your particular category, The more descriptive you can be. Let's take an example of an e-commerce. If you have a product, uh, what details can you add? um, what are the kind of feedback that you get from your customers when they are not satisfied with your product? And so find out those best possible granular details, and be as much detailed in your description about your service from multiple different perspectives, because you never know what your end user target customer is uh, typing a question on one of the AI surfaces, which could go ahead and pick up detail which is very granular from your page, and that could end up giving you a citation and referral traffic from those AI surface. So I think so. In that case, it becomes more important.
All right, thank you. At least we are still not dinosaurs. That's good to know. All right, let me go little. Yes, Gagan, you wanted to say something.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, no, I just wanted to go little on the technical side of the stuff also because, say, for any brand to build their authority, uh, a little bit of technical help is also required, and with the something that both of you alluded to little while back in terms of query fan out. But before that, even query fan out, the concept of entity model, uh, or also for LLMs, or rather for sites to get themselves understood by the information layer of LLMs. How do you build it from a technical your point of view? The concept that I'm trying to allude to is, uh, I call it ontology, right? And what I mean by an ontology is how will my information schema be aligned so that from a technical point of view, the discovery of my pages, my content is much more easier. Or put it simply, how can I make my site more easily machine readable?
I think it's I tend to take like more simple stance on these kind of things. My stand is more simple than many other people in the industry have been trying to push for. If you are doing good as technical SEO at page level, like whatever your domain is, maybe you have like 1,000 pages. At each page level, whatever is required in terms of like basic SEO, you are doing that. For example, like if it's a product page, you're adding like relevant product schema. If it's like a service page, maybe you're trying to add like a service schema or something like that. If a local services page, you're doing the relevant schema. I generally don't tend to think in terms of ontologies or like knowledge graph. Like some people are pushing that you would have to design your website or structure your website schema and all the information in such a way that it is easily pluggable into like Google's knowledge graph. I don't build strategies like that. I tend to like focus on more simple things at the page level, and overall it just adds up. Like if at each page you are adding relevant schema and each of your pages are properly marked up, properly structured in terms of headings and everything else, then overall for the whole domain it's just going to add up to a good structure. You don't have to start by thinking that I want this particular ontology, or I want to be plugged into Google's knowledge graph, or I want to be more machine readable or something like that. You would just have to make sure that each and every page is up to the basic SEO standards in terms of like technical SEO or maybe somewhat advanced SEO standards, and it overall it just adds up to a good enough like technical SEO level.
Okay, so can I
un,
put it this way?
Unfortunately, that was like way too much of like a straightforward answer, because sometimes even like when I'm doing like sales or I'm talking with the different companies, they are like, but other guys are saying saying all these, like you need to do llms.txt, or you need to make sure that your robots.txt is properly handled. I'm like, these are like really really basic things. For example, like having right robots.txt or having right sitemap is is not going to like have like a huge impact on your SEO. Yes, it matters. Of course, it matters, but it's not going to have like such a big impact on your SEO that tomorrow your, if you fix these, tomorrow your revenue like will be 100x or 1000x. So that's why like I try to think in more of like basic terms and let's just implement these, because most companies try to chase like fancy words, but they end up like struggling with the even basic implementation. And when you tell them that, oh, you have like one product and you need like at least like seven to eight different images from different angles, so that the product on the product page people can see it, the product from different angles, they are like, but we don't have the budget to do all that. And then they come back to you and say that they want to do AI SEO. I'm like, come on, man, just do basic SEO first, and then we will see how AI SEO goes.
No, absolutely. So that's where I was coming to. Uh, See, are we trying to over engineer rather than, like you just mentioned, simplify your entire structure?
Yes, I think it's it's more of like people in the industry like who are well funded, they are incentivized to over engineer because they have to show the value of whatever funding they have raised. So they are trying to do a lot of new terms around like how you should be doing SEO, what the AI SEO should be, and they are throwing around a lot of big big beautiful and tremendous terms which don't make sense sometimes. So uh, because they have to justify all the rounds and all the funding that they have raised. But in terms of actual practitioners, day to day guys, like we all are, it's just like focusing on basics and trying to deal with that operations problem that I mentioned earlier, where even in like basic SEO, like you face like so many operations problem, dealing with different brands. Then you throw in like such a large terminology, a brand recently told me that they hired a AI SEO architect recently. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? Like AI SEO architect? What the hell does that even mean? And they were like, yeah, we hired that AI SEO architect for 2 months and they did nothing. And I'm like, you are fool. That you literally got fooled by a term, and you are like, the AI SEO architect is going to do some magic on your domain, and ChatGPT is going to recommend you everywhere. It's not like that. So I think it's better that we stick to the more of like fundamental things and try to deal with more operations problem that we have with our clients. Everyone does. It's not like I have operations problems with my clients. Everyone that I talk with, if they are like actual day to day SEO practitioner, their number one problem is not AI SEO or traffic loss or clicks or impressions or anything like that. Their number one problem is operations, and trying to be aligned with the client on strategies and actually pushing things and making even basic stuff live on the website rather than talking about like AI SEO or all these fancy terms.
All right, that was interesting. And before we end, yeah, Parth, you want to share something?
I'm totally aligned with what Gagan just mentioned. A lot of terminologies, a lot of complex concepts that are floating around. I think so. That's beyond the basics that is required, and that's probably to justify the budgets that they are kind of charging. But I think so. Getting the basics in place always helps. If your content structure is really good, that's going to help. Schema is just kind of a label which reads like a list of nutritions on a food packet. It doesn't make the food healthy. It just reads the actual content on the page. That's about it, and it's machine readable. So yeah, I
I
think
think
so. Yep.
it's we are trying to industry overall, especially US based SEOs. They, I don't know why they have like some sort of like self worth or ego driven. I think US SEOs are way more ego driven than any SEOs in the whole world. So they come they come from perspective of ego, where they are like taking a stand, and then they are doing whatever it possibles, all, even if it's like totally wrong stuff, they are doing whatever it possibles to prove to others that their stand is all right. That's why like we see so many fights around like schema matters for AI SEO, or Reddit matters for AI SEO, and then people are just they are like, yes, I said this and I stand on it, no matter what data you present. But people outside US, I think they are way more flexible in terms of like actual SEO implementation, and how do we even get like basic stuff implemented quickly and move the needles.
All right.
All
Wonderful
right.
conversation